Been 2 years without sex with my wife, 37F, and I'm, 41M, about to lose my effing mind. My wife does a physical job. She has a lot of demand on her body. She is still breastfeeding our baby, she does hours of physical labor every day, and by the end of the day she is beat. I've tried to be understanding, especially having an almost 2-year-old, and not bother her for sex. She's never been the most sexual person, and as the years have gone on, her libido dwindled a lot. She preferred to just offer head as often as she felt like it, which worked for me. But now it's months in between. It's causing me to fall back into porn, which I hate and makes me depressed and shameful. We've talked about it 100 times. I don't like when I start to come off as whiny, so I try to be calm and reasonable, but I have needs. She has agreed to at least try, even one a week or once every 2 weeks. Months have gone by. I have to beg. It's fucking pathetic. I'm so lonely. I think about her so much that I'm sitting here with literal blue balls. She said I'd get some last night, but the baby stayed up late. Now it's the next night, the baby went to bed early, but she's conveniently fallen asleep again. I'm crawling in my skin, trying to fend off the urges like an addict. What the hell do I do? Comment, get a babysitter for the night. She'd probably be more in the mood on a date night with no crying child around. Answer, I don't think cheating is the answer. Update 1. After considering everyone's advice and reflecting, I had a big talk with my wife. Here's what happened. The deadbeat question. Midday I asked her if she felt I could be doing more with my son or house upkeep. She said she appreciated me asking but felt we had a good balance. Later that night I picked up dinner and read more comments. Decided to dig deep. Surprisingly, as I was getting out of the shower, my wife was waiting for me and asked if I wanted a BJ. She'd known I was wanting since Wednesday, but this was the first good moment with baby sleep and no massage work earlier in the day. I told her everything. Apologized for not giving more non-sexual intimacy. Apologized for sometimes feeling frustrated and piling onto the demands for her. Asked if she was feeling okay in her own body. Surprise for me, she wasn't. She had something going on with her body that I didn't know about. So she's going to see a doctor about that. I asked her if she found it gross and off-putting that I would ask for head in these tiny windows when the baby is asleep. She said not at all, only that she feels guilty when doesn't feel up to it, but that it's okay to ask. Then the best part, we had a long chat about prioritizing both solo time and date time. We had really let this thing get away from us, but with our son old enough, it was time to work on it. We fantasized about doing things again, even in short windows. We agreed to ease back into our sex life as it came. The second best part, she then gave me the deluxe blowjob package with all the fixins. She still isn't ready to have her body touched sexually, so we stayed up to cuddle and watch a show. Thanks to everyone who told their stories and gave tough but true advice. Everyone that advised me to cheat, rethink your lives. People that pushed me to porn are like pushing beer to an alcoholic. I was clear that it's not good for me, and people who had an axe to grind on me like in some slob deadbeat, I'm truly sorry that there are so many models of this in your life that it's the first thing you jump to. Me and a lot of men have to do better. Edit, the majority of comments in this thread are about communication, but there's one missing ingredient, self-awareness. You can talk for days and days and still miss your own. Comment, yay. What a great outcome, and a great example of how to communicate with your partner. Not everything should immediately go to divorce at the first sign of trouble. I wish you guys a successful marriage and your wife good health. Answer, Redditors on their way to ruin a healthy relationship because of the smallest inconvenience. OP, the rush to cheat, open the relationship, hire a sex worker, buy a plastic vagina, shit is wild man. We have a kid. I believe relationships can and should look a lot of different ways, but goddamn y'all, update 2. Welp, it's about to be 3 years without sex with my wife. I went to a strip club a few days ago and something strange happened. In post 1, I got beat up about pulling my weight in the household, about prioritizing non-sexual intimacy, and communicating well. In my second post, we sat down and had a game-changing conversation where I realized that my wife had a post-birth exacerbation of a pre-existing condition that made her lady parts not great. Since post 2, our lives have only gotten more busy and stressful. Our kid is more of a handful than ever, and there are a variety of homeowner projects that are killing us. It feels like everything is broken around here and we're stressed. My kid is growing and sleeps in our bed, so I've moved to his bedroom for now. It honestly helps everyone sleep better for now, but needless to say, there is zero sex happening. But in post 2, my wife said that while she wasn't ready for sex yet, she'd be as forthcoming with throwing me blowjobs when I needed them. I've tried to pick good moments. Never on days when she's working hard with her body. Days when the house is in order. When she's not on her period. Mostly on days when we've been able to have a little non-sexual intimacy. So it's become this desperate waiting game, trying to find a spare 15 minutes where I don't feel ashamed to ask for some companionship and release. Then having to feel like a pervert trying to pounce on her and beg for a blowjob. I can count on one hand the times this has happened. She's agreed each time, as we discussed, but it just feels so desperate. Using advice from before, I just asked her straight up. Is this condition you told me about, is that just an excuse because sex is no longer enjoyable to you? Like, just tell me. She says that she just hasn't gotten time to see a dermatologist. I completely understood. But the lack of sexual release is twisting my insides. It's making me secretly steal glances at other women, making me feel lecherous and disgusting. Thirst traps are ensnaring me easily. Porn is creeping back into my periphery. Here's something I know to be true: I will never be unfaithful to this woman. She is the love of my life, and the thought of hurting her is the worst thing I can imagine. She's traveling for a few weeks. Being so unbelievably lonely, I went to a strip club. I went to the nicest one in the area, and waited for the most attractive woman who was dancing. There she was. A woman that would have been a lifelong fantasy for me. "How are you doing tonight?" she asks. I admit it. I miss my wife. I'm lonely. She asks if I want to come into the back. Yes. Let's go. She removes her top and begins to gyrate in front of me. I wait for that electric feeling of aliveness to swell up from deep inside me. And there's nothing. I sat with a straight face for 5 minutes, paid her $25, and walked out and came home. My first thought was the obvious one, the one I was testing, was that my wife was the only woman in the world that I wanted to be with. Maybe I'd aged out of sexual trysts. I don't know. I'm sitting today just feeling lost, lonely, and depressed. I'm praying that when our kid moves to their own room, that maybe we can begin building a foundation over again. Or maybe this is just it, maybe we're incompatible and aged out and that's a wrap. You guys were helpful before. What should I do? Update 3. It's been 3 years and I've had sex with my wife precisely once. She did see a specialist after a 6+ month wait. Turns out she has a few health problems going on. One is so scary that we sat and cried when she told me. Despite that, on my birthday this year, we went out for dinner and a show and stayed in a hotel room with our kid as a babysitter. To my surprise, she came into the hotel wearing new lingerie. She's not the most sexually expressive person, being a victim of sexual assault in the past, so this was like a big deal. We had sex that night, then we had sex again in the morning. It was really fun, but I could tell she was still in pain, or at least not physically comfortable. She was putting herself out there despite it not being great for her. I was torn between enjoying myself but wanting her to also be okay and enjoy herself. I offered her oral sex or a massage. She didn't really feel up to that. I think she really, truly feels not healthy in her own body. So things are still not amazing in our sex life. But for everyone telling us that our marriage is dead or that we are headed toward cheating, I really don't think you understand what it means to love someone with every fiber of your being. Do I wish we had more sex? I do. But would I trade that for spending every day by her side, raising our kid together, holding hands while we watch movies? I wouldn't. I don't really know exactly where to go from here. She feels like the medicines she's supposed to take have terrifying side effects. I'm not going to force her into that just so I can have sex with her. Yes, she's still tossing me maintenance blowjobs, but it's like once a month now. Our lives are super busy. I don't want to pile on her after an exhausting day of work. I'm going to talk to her about once or twice a week, but it really is hard. Between waking up to walk the dog, make breakfast, get the kid to daycare, work our days, clean the house, make dinner, pick up the kid, bath time, bedtime, and any spare time for personal projects, it's just fucking exhausting. So, who knows what to do now?